Snake's potential. Last game stands before them. All they need is one victory over longtime allies and now rivals, Edward Gaming, and they advance to playoffs. But if they drop this series, their 2018 year comes to a close. That said, EDG in Game 2 put on a hell of a performance, showing, hey, we know you're going to bring it all out. We know you're going to come swinging. You know what? We're going to bring? Poppy. And deny every single one of your engages.
It's funny because globally you're seeing so much Poppy out there, and it's been a nuisance to the team that picks Poppy.
Yeah.
Because you don't have a lot of good Poppy players out there. But one player that's coming out true and saying you do have to respect my Poppy is 100% Ray, coming out very strong, and now is going to be denying that Lee Sin pick, because that was Lee Sin going to be impacting it up against who is a very strong Poppy player in Ray.
Yeah, trying to play around that aura of valor, that aura of the righteous so much, but it's so very difficult. Even Guo trying to get assassinations into the back, you saw by the end of Game 2, he was looking for clear love of all targets, a Rek'Sai, not the Zoe, not the Kai'Sa, because there was so much disengage. But as we look towards this Game 3, this pick and ban is going to be so important for determining how these compositions play out, because EDG have shown they've got Snake's number. They know how to play the denial composition. And I'm really excited to see who ends up on blue side and who has to ban away the Aatrox and Akali.
And you don't get a lot of opportunities to see a team's true colors. Backed up against the corner, your final game potentially, this is your final game of the season. Yeah. Of course, there's a possibility for you to go into playoffs, but if you're Snake, it could be the difference with you having a very long vacation if you're Snake, or you have a good fighting chance for a finals if you're Snake in this case. So they have to show something here. And I think we're going to be seeing something out of Flandre.
Yeah.
A lot of times it comes down to the coach and they sparse like 7 minutes time in a discussion of who you're going to be playing through. And you're not going to be playing through the rookie in the bottom lane. He hasn't shown enough throughout the split, and he wasn't even playing in the beginning of it.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times you can say maybe Guo, but if you're going to be looking to your star player, Guo didn't have a strong performance in the last game. It's not going to be him. It has to be the top side.
And this is where we have to look at EDG, because as a very intelligent team here in the LPL, one of the most, they have to know that this is Snake's strategy. Yeah. They tried playing denial with the Gragas in Game 1, weren't quite able to shut down the Jarvan just through the raw CS advantage. They saved themselves that last pick Poppy to try to bait out a strong matchup, and they still managed to get it through the Poppy into Ornn in the top lane. But Snake, how do they break this apart? We saw the Cassiopeia yesterday against Team WE. That didn't work out. Is it through the Jarvan? Is it through that Camille that you've been talking about?
So history does send messages. Now, I understand that history says that Snake's going to do poorly in a long series versus EDG. But there are positives. History says that Flandre is going to win lane versus EDG. That happens every damn time.
Yeah.
Mouse hasn't been able to take down Flandre. Hasn't been the case. Ray could be a better challenge, but is better good enough? I don't think so. Flandre is going to be coming into this game with some power, a carry potential that he can come out and impact the mid lane at the very least. So I want to see what we go for. You see a smiling, as you mentioned, you point out.
Yeah.
Smiling, jovial, SOFM. He has something in mind.
SOFM and Guo with some smiles. You can see the coach standing behind SOFM because he is so instrumental to this team. Flandre looking a bit uncharacteristically distant in this match. Hopefully that's not resignation that we see, that is determination, because as we said, he is so important for breaking this map open for Snake.
Yeah, you're right, but it always comes down to what individual conversations come through, because after a team talk that you can see the coach has gone through with that Snake, going straight towards SOFM, running by that pick and ban before they get into it. A lot of it's just based off of maybe a major change into the strategy. Maybe they pick up a tank like Sejuani because they want to have a better go at these team fights. And a Sejuani, if you're looking at the last game, would have so much more impact. Nail down the Tahm Kench, blow him out with just that easy going front to back. Now there's so much that you can run through. We'll have to see just based off that first pick priority. But it all does start with SOFM, whether he's willing to go towards a carry option or a tank.
Now looking at the arena colors right now, it looks as though Snake are on the blue side with the colors of the player pods in front of them, EDG. If we pan out just a little bit more, I think we'll see that they are on the red side, which would give side selection over towards Snake for that first round. And again, that blue side victory in Game 1 was what set them up because they didn't need to waste their bans on the Akali, on the Aatrox, the 815 power picks.
And here's what I want to see Snake on. Because if they get Tahm Kench, remember blue side, of course, gives you that Tahm Kench first pick. I think EDG ban it. Your next priority is either going to be Varus. I think Varus gets locked in. You can follow up with a Braum. But then you want to pick up the Sejuani on the first 3 picks on that phase. And try and challenge EDG in these team fights. Because as of late, EDG in team fights have not been respectful. iBoy has been getting picked out in the recent series. And so you can nail it down. Say, we have the proper dive threats to challenge him if he steps over.
Now it's time to find out what it's going to be. The final match for Snake in 2018 in Chongqing, our first franchised arena here in the LPL. The fans are passionate. The fans are crazy in love with this team. But is their support going to be enough to help Snake close out this series and advance to playoffs? Already, Tahm Kench ban, as you mentioned, for EDG, and the Rise ban, which means a Varus first pick.
So first step's already going through truly. The Varus gets picked up because EDG is not going to allow the Tahm Kench. Now, I did say that I wanted to see the Braum be picked up, but EDG should have that Braum pick, knowing that Rakan's gone and the Tahm Kench are out of here. But if they go towards Braum, Snake should be comfortable enough to go with an Alistar. So Alistar Sejuani is definitely as fight heavy as you can get. That just depends. Actually, Braum's not even going to do it for them. So Snake, pretty easy pickup for Braum here, I think. And they can nail down that Sedge easily.
So we're still looking at the Kai'Sa pickup for EDG. We say it every time, it can be flexed between Clearlove Ray and Mako. Lately we've been seeing go a lot towards Mako, but the big focus of this Gragas is that it disincentivizes a Kindred performance out of SOFM. So even though the Braum is still open, looks like we're seeing something a little bit more engage-oriented for Snake as the Alistar is locked in for Maestro. Is this enough? Because to me, this says, hey, we're taking the engage off of Flandre and putting it onto Maestro, which means Flandre could look for a carry later on in the draft.
I still want a second tank, so I've been talking about Sejuani pretty heavily, but I think that Alistar, while gives power to the support to be able to do it, I thought it was going to be the secondary support pick with the Braum still up and available. That being said, we forgot about Camille being left open, so the fact that it's still up and available, give it to Flandre. That's what we wanted to see from the get-go.
Oh yeah, save that jungle till a little bit later on. Give Guoguo a bit of a better matchup into Scout in the mid lane.
I know jungles have been hit too. We saw in Game 2 jungle bans coming through, but now that Gragas has been picked up, EDG sure are just going to start levying more jungle bans. Trundle, Kindred should leave Sedge open. So I want to see what the strategy here is for EDG.
Now, the disengage pick for EDG is a non-committal CC with the Dark Binding and Morgana, but more importantly, that Black Shield. Anytime Snake decide to look to go forwards, a quick reaction from Mako, who is one of the fastest players on engage and disengage, can protect iBoy, can protect Scout with whatever he ends up going towards. Now, we do see the Galio ban because, again, that Camille Hextech Ultimatum and Hero's Entrance synergy is so strong.
That's true.
Especially if you add a Jarvan into the mix and make it a true Rumble arena. But we're still going to see what that jungle pick is going to be for both sides.
Yeah, they just needed the Morgana. Remember, Morgana was not going to be enough if Galio was there. It's just going to be too long to hold down the AD carry, and EDG live and die by it. So, iBoy, with the Kai'Sa pick, the support of Morgana, I love what I see here, and it's going to empower him whenever Camille decides to try and challenge him.
And look at that. Seems like EDG are on the same page as us, getting rid of Flandre's Vladimir. Guoguo has played it in the past, but it is a much longer signature pick for Flandre in the top lane, a much bigger comfort pick for him. And getting that Vladimir into Gragas sounds like it might be a pretty healthy matchup. But again, the respect ban of the Urgot after yesterday's FPX performance. This is the world that we live in. But now Scout, does he show blind pick here to hold on to the flex for that Gragas between top and jungle? Or do they look for something else from EDG?
He's just such a great Irelia player, and there's no respect to Guoguo's champion pool, or at least the style that Guoguo is playing. Guoguo in this pickup would love to go towards the Orianna just because it empowers the Alistar and Camille so much. So saying that, I have a good idea of what he wants to play, and if he goes against it, their composition looks a little bit wonky. So right there, Scout just saying, pick me the 1v1.
Oh, and look at that Guoguo. He decides to make the choice to return to LeBlanc after the game 2 in which he was denied entry so many times. He looks to SOFM, his partner in crime, and says, you could step up, I can step up. We do this together. We do this as a team. We take this playoff spot as a unit. And with that Gnar lock-in from Snake, if they decide to run the timer out, it's a very straightforward composition. We want to group up. We want to find picks. We want to find kills.
Yeah, and the Gnar's been banned away from Flandre in the past few series. So the fact that he gets it here today showcases that it's all about comfort. Give him Gnar, get him splitting. And so we're going to have Snake having great side lanes, great engage with the Varus, Alistar, and Camille combination. I like what I see. There's a little bit of ownership on Guoguo on the LeBlanc pick to make it work.
And this historically has been something that he struggled with on Assassins in the past. So often when we talk about Guoguo, we talk about how he doesn't always match up to his opponents in Scout, in Rookie, in Doinby, the big names of the LPL. But now he's up against Scout, one of the all-stars of Rift Rivals on Aurelia, a massive carry, and he doesn't play the Orianna. He doesn't play it safe. He takes this Assassin. Final pickup is Sejuani for Clearlove, the pig farmer returning to his namesake on that jungle. But there it is. Coach leans down for a few final words of encouragement before they're going to step back in and shake hands for this final game, this final determining match for Snake of 2018.
Yeah, you want to be able to send in the last few words. Leave them off before they get into their level 1s. Words of encouragement, yes, but words of direction. Know what you have to play in. They may have a good idea, but when you're under this amount of duress, you need to have a clear call of who you're playing through right from the get-go.
And it's exactly like you said, Raz. Diamonds aren't formed just sitting out in the open. It's under heat, it's under pressure, it's under the most difficult circumstances that Snake now find themselves. Will they crack under the weight of this environment, or will they succeed and become something stronger to ascend to playoffs and possibly even beyond? EDG are the challenge. They're former allies, they're former teammates, and now they're going to have to show that they are the ones who are superior on the day. They are the ones who can advance and lock down that final spot.
So you take a look at each and every one of these players. There's a test of their will, their strength under pressure. I know Guoguo still yet to receive that true test. But Light is someone I want to see. Really starting to get his, come across, moving across on his team. Getting playtime is something we'd love to see. Being put so close near the playoffs that if he ends up going to playoffs based off this game alone, not only does he deserve it, but it's a great test to his experience.
Now it looks like we do have a technical delay loading onto the Rift for this Game 3. You can see the players already talking and laughing, Scout and Clearlove with some smiles. But on the same side, Snake looking the exact same. Guoguo laughing and smiling, going up against one of the best mid laners in the league. Maestro doing the same thing from that bottom lane. As attitudes look to be high for Snake. They know that it all comes down to this, but they're not letting the pressure get to them, whereas Highboy looking uncharacteristically dour alongside Clearlove.
Just calm. I think they're the team that's riding that high from game 2. There's really nothing riding on the line for EDG going into playoffs. Of course, there's a little bit of pride involved. Finding themselves off on the right step going into playoffs is important. But for them, it's another day in that business. Going in and out, they expect the top tier play from themselves. So just calming themselves down is a priority. But you see from Snake, you gotta wonder about what their twitches are, because sometimes people love to laugh when it comes to getting into game, because it doesn't necessarily mean that they're not nervous. In fact, that might be a great indication that they themselves are nervous.
The release valve.
So you have to see. And under this timer, I know that we're in a bit of a technical difficulty as we're getting back into the game. This could be one of the worst moments for you as an upstart if you're Light, because you're already so ready to get into game and you've already gone through so much of the plans, but now having to wait this long getting into the level 1, you start to forget some things.
Yeah.
And we've seen time and again going into level 1s, that's when some of these new players actually lose their summoners, not thinking about what position they should take on the map. I don't want to see that from Light, obviously. I want to see Light have a good start. He's going up against a very strong bottom lane in the LPL, so he needs it.
He certainly does. There's a reason that we call EDG the machine, because no matter how they perform during the regular season, no matter how bad the situations look for this team, they always play up when it comes to playoffs. They are the winningest team in the history of the LPL, winning the most titles, going to the most playoffs, going to the most finals. They can absolutely absorb these sorts of situations.
But we're in some weird times, Dom.
We are. They are a-changing.
If we just take a plane ride to Europe, G2 has some nice Spanish garb that they're not going to be able to wear in finals.
Yep.
We look towards North America. Spoiler alert. TSM. Dog.
Oh, no.
So, like, overall, things are changing. So EDG have to be aware of that. Still have to push themselves because we're in a situation. If you run the numbers for both EDG and RNG, if they find themselves in the same bracket, they might not make it based off points. They might find themselves in gauntlet run. So recency matters. You still have to play up regardless of how well you've played in the past split. This is when we need to see this team perform.
Will the machine be able to show that they can continue under the changing times, under the changing pressure of a brand new LPL world? We're going to remake the lobby real quick. Looks like it is going to be same picks and bans to get us into this next matchup. That is the big hope as we try to get everyone back into this. And as you said, the momentum going into this is so important. There are so many times that we have seen the momentum of a matchup entirely shift off of a delay. Rift Rivals comes to mind with Rogue Warriors. When they stepped up on stage, Doinby was excited. He was jumping up and down out of his seat, ready to roar up the crowd. And then there was a technical delay of 10 minutes after they tried to get into game that completely iced out their level 1.
That's why I hate emotional players. In the sense that it's fun to watch, it's great, but in terms of if you're really working with that team, you set up a great strategy, but then you realize that they're susceptible of getting iced out, especially in the LPL, where sometimes we run into a lot of delays if you were in there for week 3, that you're like, dang, some of these, sure they're iced out, but maybe they lose the first death. First gig, they get first blooded. Somehow, they're shutting down. Communication's not there anymore.
Yeah.
I don't think, for the case of Doinby, that's not been prevalent for him. I think that he's a very emotional player, but he plays up, but doesn't tilt. I think that's something that's really admirable for Doinby. But for some players, I think SOFM is one of the greatest examples of a player that's really hypey. But sometimes if things go downhill, he's the first one to die.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's what I want to see out of SOFM. If he can actually grow on that point.
Or more so, that he doesn't die, but he doesn't participate in the fight, and instead uses Rek'Sai to farm Raptors, while the enemy
still thinking about
is
that, aren't
Baron
you?
pushing into his base. Look, we cannot forget about that play, because that shows who SOFM was in that situation. That's the choice that he decided to make, sacrificing 2 inhibitors so that he could take the enemy Raptor camp.
Look, those are tough times.
Yes, they
were.
We
don't like to talk about those times because we got a lot of random supports coming into that roster.
These times are equally as tough. They're facing across from EDG, who have been locked into second place in their group and are one of the top contenders to try and fight for the title of LPL Summer Split champions.
That's true. That's fair. I think for Snake, they've heard way too much bad news in their history. They're full of them, and they want to stop it. I know they're bringing in a lot of the same players. They're an organization that looks towards their players and say, you guys can do it. We have full confidence in a lot of you guys and the players. Bringing Guoguo up was a show of faith to his potential. And keeping Flandre, keeping Crystal along in the lineup, along with SOFM, was just them saying that we know that they have added value as the split goes on. Flandre's had his bad points throughout last season. 2017 wasn't a good year for Flandre. But then you get to a time in which he's back on top. And it's based off the faith that they have in their own individuals. And all they need to do is pull it together as a team.
It's only towards the last half of this split that we've seen the return to form for Snake, as in the beginning of the year, the beginning of the split, they tried something new by adapting to the funnel meta, playing to SOFM, playing the mages and the dog pile strategies with double supports to try and tear things apart, but slowly as the meta has stabilized and crystallized into where it currently is, and slowly seems to be returning towards that team fight style that was prevalent through all of the past few years.
Oh yeah.
Snake find themselves a bit out of their element and having to return towards something that's always been a challenge for them.
And EDG must be so glad about that, knowing that they can go back to playing around tanky junglers, an AD carry that can just start wilding out.
Carries, yep.
Once again, I made a reference to you because Reckless was back on the map playing as Sivir and Tristana.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show that you can just play your style, play your AD carries, and there is no negative connotation to it any longer. So it's the year of iBoy, it's the year of Uzi, it's the year of SMLZ. The AD carries are rising back up. It might be a great chance for EDG to, take their name back.
It's returning towards a style that they are very comfortable with, a style that we saw in Game 2 to great success, the tempo and control. As you can see, Maestro on your screen right now, still trying to get everything solved out with Guoguo, who seems to be having some trouble. Hopefully, again, we'll get that resolved as quick as we can. Just a reminder to everyone, we're looking to get towards Game 3 of this best of 3. This is the final match, the deciding factor for Team Snake. As we did have an issue loading in after Champion Select. It seemed like it is done, judging by the players' position in their seats, but might be time.
Uh-oh, Guoguo's hair is starting to do that thing again.
It
and you know what happens when Guoguo's hair does that thing.
He goes Super Saiyan.
Yes, he does.
Exactly, but now we're loading onto the Rift. All the technical delays are aside. Will Snake crystallize under the pressure and become the diamond that ascends to playoffs, or will EDG put an end to their year right here and right now? SOFM with a quick invade has found both Clearlove and Ray, sees them on the top side, and Guoguo happy to push into Scout in that mid lane. Gonna try and play a strong laning phase, historically one of his weaker points in the LPL. And even Mako's getting in on this defensive line from EDG as they are maneuvering all around to make sure that no one gets caught out by any wackiness from Snake, and a sweeper start from Flandre.
Keeps you guessing. It's funny, it reminds me of that CLG strat where every level 1, they would just basically send out who he mid, push out the enemy mid laner so they can get full control of just the side
Aurelion
bushes.
Soul.
Just so really, he just does it on everything. It's kind of annoying. So he just gets a lot of pressure for their potential invades. They're not going to go for it immediately, but it gives the Clearlove a little bit more to think about. This is a bad matchup for him, but now he has to think about all the possibilities of an invade from Camille or just an early gank around mid lane.
It sets up a delayed ward from Snake on that side of the map too, as Guoguo's taking some big hits. That's the Ionian Fervor stacking up. He's forced to use a Corrupting Potion.
Let's go.
SOFM just under vision. Maestro. Ooh. Late flash from Maestro. SOFM. That's the Ignite also burning down.
No.
iBoy forces the heal out. That's 2 summoner spells used by Snake for 3 summoner spells of EDG.
I think the heal was unnecessary, but you can see what Light was thinking.
He's trying to. He's at low health. Now sees that Clearlove is here, going to try to go for it. Smite gets him that health, but there's the collapse. They found Maestro. Remember, he used his flash. The target is Mako. He used his own. A knock-up onto 2. First blood onto Light, turning onto Clearlove. Stun onto SOFM. He goes down. Maestro kites it out, but iBoy has got the target selection. A late flash gets Light out to safety. He's slowed. Can he make it under the turret? Guoguo's getting in onto the action. The flash distortion ignite, and he gets the kill. 80 carries go down, and somehow it's 2 for 2.
Bottom lane fight happens, and the mid lanes already start moving. Great trade from Guoguo to at least net something back. But, my God, I mean, the moment Sejuani joins in the fight, it's just so hard to play around her. They end up doing it to get the kill on towards Mako, so he dies for it. iBoy dies as well, but this is how it all starts. SOFM has the red buff, he has potions rocking, he ends up smiting, so he gets a lot of HP back. That's what EDG don't recognize. And so they were just really shell-shocked by the fact that he came in so strong for it after getting demolished in the previous fight. So Light at least still has flash, but somehow gets clipped by this. Just on the edge of Sejuani's W, she was able to slow him down, but it gives time for Guoguo to end up answering back because they were so tunneled on the Varus and Alistar.
And the difference should be noted in where the gold ended up going. It works out exactly even, but that's on Clearlove and iBoy versus Guoguo and iBoy. Scout roamed all the way down from mid lane and didn't even get an assist. So already things are looking a little bit better for Scout with where all of that gold is being distributed over that early skirmish. That's going to put a really big wrench in how Clearlove wanted to play that out. Meanwhile, Flandre and Ray, I'm sure they were both thinking of looking for a teleport opportunity bottom, just waiting for one of them to initiate the teleport so they can try to force the cancel. But it ends up going even, and with no recall out of Guoguo just yet, he's still sitting on that gold. Same thing with Light as he makes his way back into lane.
All in all, I'll say this is a great start for the LeBlanc. I think LeBlanc, we wanted to see her set up to succeed. She has great 2v2 versus the Aurelia Sejuani. It just depends on how it gets started off. But now she can go back to base at any time and really start off her first item in the build. So that's what I want to see, since Scout actually just didn't get too much in the last fight.
Clear Love walking up to help push this wave, but SOFM follows suit to help cancel that push and allow Guoguo to farm it safely, assuming SOFM doesn't tax a few minions. And Scout actually walks up to further clear it out. Constant slow, constant harass and trading. Stun onto SOFM as he steps back. The wave will crash into the turret. Guoguo with low mana should be able to catch most of these, though.
This is going to be an awkward time for Guoguo because another wave is coming in. He's just going to outright base right now. Depends on if Scout sticks around, because there's so much uncertainty. If one person sticks around, they can get the free wave and deny.
Yeah.
It's going to be the Aurelia.
And look at how Scout actually backed out of the vision of Guoguo with his recall, canceled it, and then stepped back in to push the wave. SOFM's not holding it. He's pushing it in, and that is opening up a CS advantage for Guoguo, or sorry, for Scout, as the wave crashes forward, though we do get to see Guoguo recall first.
So the risk is, of course, that you're going to come back to lane late. It just means that LeBlanc's going to be able to, once she clears out the wave, then lean to top side, clear out vision a little bit more easily, and you can play around enemy jungle matchup a little bit easier.
Yeah, big scare is that's a cannon wave that just crashed in the mid lane. You can see that cannon minion making its way top, showing what that is. So that is slowing down the LeBlanc quite a bit. And Clear Love is already top side to keep an eye on whether or not that LeBlanc does roam. SOFM is trying to follow up, but even he's been spotted out by a ward. So EDG still playing that tactical vision game.
I just wanted to see a scuttle fight, you know. I'm not asking for too much.
You want to see more kills, I know.
Yeah, but it's not going to happen. Sejuani recognizes that the wave is getting slowly pushed out mid. Give it to me.
X-Flash over the wall. That's the black shield used by Mako. He's at very low mana, and Light at half health and very low mana as well. Means that this is a risky trade for Snake.
Really good trade back. I think Mako laying down the Dark's tormented soil, trading back on towards Light, but at the same time putting on the shield towards iPlay and denying Maestro to get an engage off. Just made it really well for them.
SOFM.
Let's go.
He's about to face check into Clear Love.
What?
Ooh, just outside of vision. Now he sees it. Whoa, surprise.
Awkward.
That's a bit Awkies. But he has been spotted now and looks to clear out some vision bottom to force iBoy and Mako back, unless Mako walks up and tries to bully Light.
I know everybody in the chat's had the same interaction. You're walking down a hallway and you just want to be nice, so you move to the left to try and get out of the guy's way.
The other person moves to the left.
And you're
too.
like, ugh. Right?
Then
oh
you go
no,
right
he's moved right.
Oh no.
Now I'm just going to stand still and just...
I go left, you go right. No, wait. No, you go left, I go left.
Or you just curl into a ball and cry.
Exactly. All of the earth just stops rotating in that one beautiful moment.
Yeah.
Now, Flandre did get a push up top. He's 11 CS ahead. Snare did land onto Scout. He's holding on to his flash as he ticks over to level 6. 3-man collapse mid, but Scout is already playing defensive. That vision setup keeps him safe under his turret.
Oh, this is awkward. You're putting it into a 2v2 situation.
Yeah, Flandre is still here.
He's just forcing Ray to push out top lane. There we go. So that was the pressure. He's like, I'm just going to stay here, share experience, and make it so Scout is under tower for a little bit, unless if you push top lane. So forced Ray to make the call, and now he's going to be able to match the tower.
Just shoving all the way into Flandre as Mako and iBoy are controlling that wave down in the bottom lane. A lot of this game, a lot of this series has been dictated by the jungle matchup, how SOFM has maneuvered around and how EDG in Game 2 were able to track him. In Game 3, it's defensive vision from EDG this very early on. We're not seeing a huge amount of wards placed onto the map from them just yet, but still plenty of control wards in the inventory for all 3 lanes, with the exception of Ray up top. And that's opening an opportunity for Guoguo to keep trading back and forth. That's the Ignite even being used. SOFM gets in. He's level 6. The Vanguard's edge misses, and Guoguo gets past the kill. Scout steps up before Clear Love can get there, and Snake find themselves in an advantage.
Just frustration on Scout's face. Missing out on the Vanguard edge, but honestly, even if he hit, Clear Love was way too far back. There was no way for him to do it. It was just really well timed from Guoguo, knowing that SOFM was going to be there fairly soon, and so he just trades on towards Scout. Scout lost a lot of HP, dumping the Ignite on top of him too. 2-0. Guoguo's having a good early game.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We did just see a quick roam from from Maestro towards that mid lane, which gave iBoy and Mako complete wave control over Light. So still, Snake sticking to the same strategy of leaving Light and Maestro out on an island. He's down 12 CS in this Varus to Kaisa matchup. Last time he was able to go even and hold that bottom tier 1 turret for, what was it, nearly 20 minutes?
Yeah.
Despite the constant push pressure from EDG. So we'll see if this time EDG can try to break it down just a little bit sooner, because now that mid lane looks like it might be another opportunity for Snake to continue to pressure with this LeBlanc.
I think that once she's so close to, of course, has a lot of items underneath her. She can get herself the Luden's Echo, changes their matchup so drastically. So it's going to be a race for first item, and she's out into a good head start, not only having the first 2 kills, but also just Trinity Force is so much of a hefty cost that Scout's going to be on a timer.
Maestro with Mobies, chasing iBoy down, decides not to overcommit as EDG. This is that push pressure bottom, crystallizing into an advantage for EDG. They're down about 800 gold because of the kills and the CS advantage in top lane, but taking that Infernal Dragon is very important to the Kaisa Aurelia combination from EDG. They're managing to find the recall timing for SOFM and capitalize on it.
Yeah, good first step here for EDG, recognizing that they have a pretty respectable team fight. Great dive threats too. So having the Infernal Dragon is going to benefit everyone on their composition.
Do you think we're actually going to see EDG look for any dives? Or are they just going to try and play it safe and try to defend the lanes as, whoops, Gorgol steps out of that stun. Clear Love looking to chase. There's the Vanguard's edge, but double distortion.
To answer your question, I think so. It all depends on what happens on mid lane. So funny enough, that was an interesting trade happening through from Scout. Because once Scout starts getting more ownership of the lane, as he is currently, then you free him up, look for bottom lane. That dive is 100%. It's going to be so easy to look for. So it's going to be all on how Scout plays out his own lane.
And even despite his death and not getting the assistance earlier, he's still up 8 CS. And here comes the roam bottom that we were just talking about. Clear Love and Scout. All it took was one minion wave, one good trade against Guoguo, and Snake are already forced to back away from that bottom tier 1. Again, just providing more and more advantages to iBoy and Mako. 25 CS ahead, though Light will be able to catch most of these minions here and try to keep it closer to a 20 CS advantage.
Definitely faster than I anticipated. But looking towards the bottom lane, I think Snake played it out so well. Maestro hinting towards him, around red buff, knowing that the wards were being placed down. And SOFM was very close by. So in fact, if that dive went through, Snake were all ready for it and would have been able to turn it.
Instead, they're just playing it defensive and trying to allow their lanes, that mid and top lane, to keep the advantage rolling. It's 2 kills, but still no big advantage. A Scout, again, cancels his recall and keeps on ducking out of vision, just playing this lane back and forth against Guoguo with Clear Love constantly hovering behind him and matching this pace. This roaming tag team of Clear Love and Scout could become a huge threat for Snake if this continues. Flandre's opening up a CS advantage up top, but he's not able to capitalize with anything by taking that top turret because Guoguo is locked down mid. The only person who can affect that is SOFM, and he's busy farming.
Yeah, he is, but at some point, Clear Love's going to have to pay some mind towards Ray. Because it's already getting bad, and there's no black cleaver on towards Flandre. He's getting there. Once he's able to pick it up for himself, then it's going to be pretty unfortunate for how Ray's been dealing in this lane.
And look at that, barely any vision in the bottom lane. Light's forced to back away from his tier 1 again as Maestro backs out.
Going to catch him off guard.
An early rotation, looking for Flandre. They're outside of vision. Oh, the Glacial Storm misses Flandre, and he walks away alive.
If he hits that, Kaisa's following through. They did not expect a swap to happen so quickly, just in the early laning phase. They would have at least expected the first tower to go down before they indicated. But you can see how Ray was pretty, a little understandably feeling upset with how the lane was working out for him, and that would have eventually turned into a dive. So they had 2 bad matchups, turned it, and had a great opportunity on the pick on Flandre.
Yeah, the lane matchups now work out very favorably for EDG, as it's an item buy advantage for iBoy, pushing the wave all the way up to the top tier 1 and countering the push pressure of Flandre, whereas Ray is allowed to catch the wave bottom and force a recall from Light and Maestro, who are only now headed top.
Now they're trying to match. You can already see that Snake just wants to match these lanes. And so because of the late matches, they're going to lose a little bit of experience.
Yeah.
Not a cannon wave too, so that's going to be 3 minions tops.
It's
that he
2
loses.
full waves because they're also losing pressure bottom because Flandre has to
true.
recall and try and match that. Every time Snake answer a rotation from EDG, they lose out in small ways that allow EDG to equalize this gold difference.
That's why usually the first team that ends up throwing out the lane swap gets the biggest benefit just based off that priority. Because technically they can keep doing it. They already had the first push top. You already see the base coming through. I don't know if that means that Kai'Sa is going to go bottom lane, but with how well the last push actually worked out for them, it's a possibility.
Might be trying to break open mid lane as they set up a lot of vision to track SOFM and Maestro. Guoguo has been pretty effectively locked down here by this Aurelia, despite picking up the counter matchup, despite taking the confidence pick into Scout. He hasn't been able to open up even with 2 kills under his belt. Perhaps he can open up a little bit later on. You mentioned the importance of that Luden's Echo, but EDG are just keeping him locked down in this lane and forcing him to respond to every single wave that Scout is pushing in time and again. As we get to the 15-minute mark, there's yet another recall from iBoy. It's Zerker Greaves and another dagger, whereas Light starting to fall just a little bit behind. And oh no! Clear Love! I think he got that with the Vami Cinder.
Unreal. Fire this man. Now,
Clear Love? I don't know. I feel like he's pretty important to the organization. Small mistake.
Fire him.
But I'm not sure if that warrants a firing.
President Trump would have done it.
Perhaps he would have, yeah. One can only postulate as now the Raptor camp taken by SOFM, level 10 to Clear Love's level 9. He's been largely ineffective outside of that early gank that we saw very early on. Mostly been farming his own jungle. He is getting an advantage over Clear Love. 12, 22 CS ahead of Clear Love, but not able to make that happen in terms of any neutral advantages. So they are taking control of the Mountain Dragon.
Yeah, I like the fact that he's positioning himself, SOFM in this instance, in the bottom side of the map. Adjacent lanes are doing quite well for him, so he can actually pressure towards the Dragon, as I already mentioned. But you can just see immediate response here from Clear Love. Even Ray coming in. He'll lose a lot of experience towards the bottom lane tower, but he's willing to take that sacrifice for the second Dragon for EDG.
That means that Snake gets a chance to control topside River as Light stays in lane to try to match iBoy's CS from earlier and push up to the top tier 1. There's no defense from EDG, so it is taking some damage, but EDG are happy to trade damage on a top tier 1 for a second elemental dragon. It's Mountain and Infernal from Edward Gaming.
Yeah, I'm not too happy about the fact that the next Dragon's not really buffing up the last few. Ocean Dragon doesn't mean too much next one. In fact, the only benefit that it will give you in the long run is empowering the Elder Dragon. Wait a second.
Flash Soul Shackles. The turret goes down for first brick, and there's the Killer Instinct. The target is Light. He's snared for so long that they're able to trade kills 1 for 1. iBoy and Light go down. Mako trying to dodge it out as best he can, but it's Snake who collapsed first. Here comes Scout. He managed to land the stun. Goes the target, leaps to the side. A cast resets at Vanguard's edge misses. He's caught by the slow, but Clear Love finally locks down the kill. Flandre joining the fight, pins Scout to the wall. Ray looking for some action as Hextech Ultimatum separated, and Snake find the kill. Ray, at the cost of his own life, will be able to drop down against Flandre, but Maestro pins him to the turret. SOFM follows through with the Tiamat, and that's the ace for Snake and the thumbs up from Flandre.
Yeah, dead body, still can move. That was his last act before he went up, because he tossed the baton, or at least he tossed it over towards SOFM. So confident that the Gnar can handle it on his own, that they change targets. Now I feel bad for you, Light. Nothing you can do can get you away from him. Instant kill here as they're able to net down the Light. But at the moment he dies, here comes the rest of the squad from Snake. Able to answer it immediately, and they still have a lot of damage. The issue here is Clear Love and Gragas, Ray, no real damage while they're going up against the Camille and Gnar, incredible bruisers. And poor timing too, because Flandre just hit Mega Gnar, so there's going to be a lot of damage he can do in the 2v2, or the 2v1 in that instance.
And with a good pin against the wall, Maestro's able to lock him down long enough to find that final kill, turning into the ace for Snake. Not only do they take the top tier 1, netting that first brick, but they're also taking the Rift Herald off the back of it. starting to open up an advantage over EDG, about 1700 gold ahead of Edward Gaming, and now grouped up in the mid lane. Rift Herald sitting in SOFM's pocket. Is he going to drop it down right away? Decides not to, as it is a cannon wave that's spawning. And now we can see the 1-3-1 in action from Snake. There's no teleport from Flandre, but that LeBlanc is pretty big. And as long as Aurelia is mid, LeBlanc is happy to push these wave forward and try to pull some attention away from EDG. Try to pull some attention away from Light and allow him to catch up to iBoy.
I think she'll get some attention. Right now you see the build coming through from Flandre. It's not immediately going towards the Blade of the Rune King. In fact, going towards the Frozen Mallet indicates that he's willing to fight. He wants to join these team fights, and it's going to be decided on how Flandre comes in and decides to engage on that. You already see him moving towards mid lane, so not seen because the control ward is there and handy, but it's going to be really difficult for Mako and iBoy to do their jobs.
Baron spawning in only 16 seconds. We're 20 minutes into this game as a good piercing arrow finds Mako, but we're looking at where SOFM is going to drop down that Rift Herald. Clearlove was thinking of feigning down bottom onto Glogro. That's the Ethereal Chains. Glacial Storm still ready. Over the wall. Here comes SOFM, the stun proc, but he dodges it with the ultimatum. SOFM! What on earth are you? As Scout mispresses a button, gets stunned by Maestro. That's one. That's two. Lands the second. A late flash, but SOFM chases him down. And finally, Scout will walk away without burning his own. This does mean 4. No, make that 5 members of Snake are down here. Actually, Flandre's in the mid lane. That is 4. But the Rift Herald is still sitting in SOFM's pocket. They could try to push this onto a tier 2 if they want.
And I would love for them to do that so they can all move towards the mid lane as a team and challenge that. So, I'd love to see it. Depends. No,
he's actually going to go for the empowered recall and try to defend as Flandre, plenty of wave clear with that boomerang toss, holds his own against this siege from EDG, and they managed to hold ground.
So I love that bottom lane play. I know you loved it because he was able to dodge out Sejuani's stun. Extra damage to stall it out, but they just knew they could take the fight because Vanguard's edge was off of Scout. He had used it earlier to try and get on towards Guogua, so he's like, all right, they just don't have the skirmishing power with how many members that we had, and my god, SOFM is just large at this point in the game.
He's so big. He's real good.
Yeah, has the SR2 now. So he's going to his GA next, and he's at a really strong spot where he can pick any fight as long as he has the LeBlanc or, let's say, even Alistar just in his back pocket. They're following closely because they know that he's how they start off these team fights.
He's got just over a minute left on that Rift Herald duration. As a result of taking it earlier, the mid-tier 1 is still standing. That would be huge if Snake could open it up and enable some big push. Light trying to push the wave, but he might be looking to bait some members of EDG in. Good Acathian Rain for big damage onto Maestro has already been evolved for iBoy. He's still looking for that Guinsoo's second to get really big plasma stacks. Clearlove again hovering around the mid lane, but there goes the Herald from SOFM inside a vision from EDG. Can they respond and defend in time?
You're expecting Snake to try and commit with it. You already see Wokwa taking so much damage on towards iBoy. He has to bait.
Yeah, with iBoy backing up, it's up to Scout to defend. Herald steps up to the turret, a stun, snares it down, but the auto attack finishes off the turret. Snake break down all 3 outers without yet losing one of their own, and Flandre is split pushing onto a tier 2 while Ray is trying to defend up top. That means he can get this damage before Scout can try and respond. Finally, the wave crashes in, denying some of the gold, but Snake easily back away with this pressure in 2 lanes and turn their focus onto their first elemental dragon this ocean.
My goodness. In Shanghai right now, FPX are watching this one closely. And they're sweating bullets. Remember, spring split. They faced this exact same situation, tied in the standings, didn't have the points, and couldn't make it because WE were just better off.
Can Snake do what FPX couldn't? Can they take the 3rd game victory against EDG? 9 kills to 5 and 2,000 gold so far is saying yes. But we have to remember that matchup started off a similar way, with FPX taking early kills against Scout in the mid lane, but it was late game team fights that worked out for EDG and enabled them to take the end of the series. Looking at the gold right now, it's close to even in the mid lane, 1,000 gold lead for SOFM, and a 200 gold lead for iBoy on the 80 carry roll.
I always love to mention, of course, Gragas has negative 200 because he has free markets.
Yeah,
so,
future market.
So for him,
pretty good.
Nice, feeling it. Can complete his items, Warmogs and Frozen Heart, just so he can get back onto the map. Doesn't matter, you know. Trust the banks. going to have to come back and maybe pay it back.
Very well could. Interestingly enough, we're seeing Light not looking at the Gwinsus. He bought himself a Zeal as SOFM is stealing away this red buff. Smite secure. Scout looks for the stun but misses. Maestro slowed by Ray. Clearlove is behind them. It's a 5v5. Line on two sides. Guoguo has found Scout. Good distortion for some damage. Forces Scout to back up to the minion wave.
Trying to make use of his electrocute proc. Couldn't see it there. But as long as he can make Maiko, iBoy. Okay!
Oh, they're looking for the targets. iBoy goes in. Guoguo over the wall, but that means that Guoguo is out of this. Flandre is close to Mega. Forces Mako out of this and lands the kill. Pinned against the wall. 4-man stun on top of the ultimatum. Scout dances around it, but does he have enough? iBoy is running for his life to try and survive. The stun is ready, but he lands the Acathian Rain. iBoy is feeling it. Flashes over the stun! Can he get the plasma proc? He does. Turns onto Maestro, gets a second one. Guoguo trying to chase with Light for a double kill onto iBoy. The slow from Ray. He's body blocking, but Guoguo gets the double. Dies under the turret, but absolutely worth it.
Heroes coming out of Snake. They found themselves the kill when they were I just wasn't expecting it. I think the major king here was Flandre. So close to Meganar. And it was a perfect timing near so many walls. I know we're going to see the replay again, but that was breathtaking. Here we go. So this is EDG taking the fight because they saw an opportunity to get Guoguo, but he gets out. Look at Flandre here. He sees it. 4-man stun into Wallop. Easy for Snake to follow up on that. And so from this point forward, it's just about routing them. I think iBoy makes the best out of that opportunity, flashing over Alistar to net the kill. The only problem here is that he still has to face Guoguo. And Guoguo finds his target and hits it.
The double distortion as he steps back up for the Acathian Rain. Kill shut down. It's a triple for iBoy, netting him a massive amount of gold. Gwinsu Stormrazor completed to the Runans for Light on top of his Blade of the Ruined King. But we can still see iBoy now has his stopwatch. And with double summoners down, slightly disincentivized to take this next fight. That has nothing to do with Guoguo, though, who is much, much happier with how this mid-game is going against Scout.
They're doing much better than the last game. There's still that asterisk that going into the later stages of the game, he's going up against double Warmogs. So the chip that he's been really accruing has to still be on the 3 carries. I guess I'm calling Mako a carry at this point, but you need to get the squishies down because that's the only damage that will really land for him.
26 minutes into the game, the fight goes close to even, and it's still only a 3,000 gold lead for Snake. Not yet becoming those massive item breakpoints. It's still coming down to the execution. And Snake, they take a favorable engage by the red buff of EDG and return to the scene of the crime. Guoguo over the wall has found Clearlove, but decides not to follow up on it. Might be looking for another more important target, as even Maestro gets in to force Clearlove out of this. It's double Warmogs for the 2 tanks of EDG. They know how this lineup from Snake can hop in and out, get constant harass, get constant trading.
Yeah, pinging on towards the Baron, they know that they can try and play it slow. Play it close to heart, knowing that EDG are going to have to check it. They're in a good position right now.
Control ward sitting in the pocket of all 5 members of Snake. They
go.
know how important this vision game is. Maestro and Flandre on the side, over the wall. The target is going to be Clearlove. Ray caught out by the Chains of Corruption. Flandre pox into Mega. Who's his target going to be? They actually managed to kill Mako on the side as SOFM finds an assassination, but Scout lands the Vanguard's edge and gets denied by Maestro. Still, iBoy doing some big damage. SOFM over the wall has died. iBoy still looking to chase, dives in. iBoy gets the huge burst. It goes golden to survive the arrow. Needs an auto, but gets it. It's a triple kill as he chases it further down, and somehow iBoy stays alive, does the damage, and EDG win the fight.
Perfectly played from iBoy. Even defending himself with that stopwatch when he was about to die. I cannot believe how well set up Snake went around for that fight and are losing the world for it.
They're turning onto the Baron. That Kaisa shred has got to be respected with the AP Plasma. Baron goes down. There's nothing Light can do. No summoner spells, no QSS, no way he can approach that pit. And here, let's take a look at that again. Snake think they have the ones. They think they set the trap, but they get pulled in too far.
But here's the best thing about this. They had moved away from the Alistar Gnar combo. So Gnar does get an ultimate, but by searching for it, looking for it, they lose focus on the real threats of the Irelia and iBoy just right neck deep into the thick of things. So really well played from Scout to start. And because of that opening, iBoy made the best of it.
It was Snake trying to flank and catch EDG from the side, but in their rush to burn through Clearlove, Mako, and Ray's health, they forgot about Scout and iBoy. Yes, you killed Clearlove. Yes, you killed Mako, but those aren't the damage threats. You've got to worry about this Aurelia and this Kai'Sa, as now it's 3 items onto iBoy, a double Infernal, and Baron sitting on EDG. Scout's looking to chase it up, but pinned against the wall. Flandre uses his ultimate, sidesteps the binding. Clearlove with the storm forces them back.
I just love the fact that EDG didn't clump in that situation, knowing that the Alistar and Nara Wombo would be the game ender. So EDG recognized, spaced out. Clearlove took the brunt of the damage, but it allowed so much for the carries to just flank through. So if you're light in Guoguo, you're not really dealing an infinite amount of damage that iBoy and Scout currently have.
SOFM flanking on the red buff, trying to steal away everything he can to get every advantage against EDG, but he needs to be ready with his team. He's looking for a flank, but that means that turrets are undefended for Snake. Bottom tier 1, mid tier 1, gone. Bottom tier 2, about to fall. EDG have just equalized and now taken a gold advantage. If fights were already dicey when Snake had the lead, this is going to become real scary.
He can't be mid at this time. SOFM is not prepared for what's going to be a dive.
Guoguo leaps out with the distortion, but the inhibitor is undefended. Snare lands onto Maestro, gets a good 2-man knockup, but iBoy still in the back. He's got his summoner spells back up as Flandre is trying to chase Mega. Clearlove goes down, but Scout dives in. He's managed to get the kill, and he is dancing wildly. The Cascari separates it. Scout comes up big along with iBoy, and that's EDG taking the fight. They've separated Snake entirely. SOFM tries to flank to cut the minion wave, but EDG have already done it. They've killed 4 members from Snake. They turn onto the Nexus turrets, and just like that, EDG will close out the series and enter into playoffs with a win, taking the 2-1 over Team Snake.
A sigh of relief for FPX, knowing that they've just locked in their playoff spot. Snake fought to the bitter end, and I mean, bad habits die hard for Snake. When it comes down to the finish, they didn't have the face that they can push them back.
In just a short span of 4 minutes for Snake, they had complete control of the game. They were setting up the flanks, they were setting up the ambushes, but all it took was 2 fights, 1 Baron and 1 botched split, and the whole game tipped over. And with that, Snake's 2018 year comes to a climactic and explosive end.
There's just so much going through the Snake player's mind. Immediately getting off the stage on that one, you already see one of the members leaving. That with everything happening so quickly, the adrenaline rush that comes through after you have monumental teamfight victories, you're like, great. I mean, we are in position to come into playoffs and fight for the finals, fight for the summer trophy, fight for a world spot. It's been something that Snake have always had their eye on, but that all ended in just a matter of minutes.
Yeah, you can see Ray's hands nearly shaking after that Game 3 victory, still riding the adrenaline of how fast-paced that game ended. We say that EDG, they are so good at punishing the mistakes of their opponents. Well, all they needed was 3 total openings. 1 team fight, 1 siege, and 1 botched fight to end it out and close the series.
Let me tell you about Scouts Aurelia.
Oh yeah, real good. And I think that's
Top
the difference,
percentage.
right, that we have to talk about between Snake. Guoguo stepped up. His laning phase, he went even despite getting a kill advantage into a very difficult lane against that Aurelia, a Scout's Aurelia at that. Then he came up huge in the team fights by trying to get big distortions and zone him away. But without the poke, without the harass, you cannot take a 5v5 unless EDG are split up. All it was that one fight. All of that coalesced into that one fight.
Yeah, and one thing about the LPL is that we have an amazing pool of AD carries and through mid lanes as well. I think Guoguo, even though he played up to a really good game that he had in Game 3, you're still going up against world-class talent as Scout.
Yeah.
And so for him to get on towards the Aurelia pick and then find these small windows in team fights, to be able to just dart straight through, even at the last team fight what we saw, he was able to just kill it. So great job to Scout.
So let's go ahead and bring up the stats for that final game-ending win for EDG. As expected, iBoy, massive damage, 19,500, another 14,300 for Scout in the mid lane. But look at that top lane. Flandre and Ray were pretty much the unsung heroes for the duration of that game.
25 minutes is when it was the peak of Snake's success this game. And fast forward to 28, and literally everything ended based off that.
Yeah.
Get that teamfight win, turn it into a Baron, start barreling down through bottom lane. When Snake lose an advantage like that, it seems impossible, especially with the composition that they had, to come back.
And it was such a risky choice for Snake to make. If they had won that fight, Snake would take the Baron. They would be the ones on the tier 2 looking for the inhibitor, perhaps even pushing to end the game, but instead it was EDG who won that. And I said that Flandre was the unsung hero. Let's actually sing his praises a little bit. We've got his 4-man ult when he manages to pin 4 people around the wall. This was the first fight at Baron that Snake were able to bait EDG into.
Yeah, EDG picked the fight. They thought they would be able to nail down Guoguo, but he risked himself, gets out of there. But look at Flandre, as you mentioned. 4-man ulti just off of his flash alone, and it allows Snake to re-engage. This was when, I said 26 minutes was the height of their goal. It was because of this fight that Snake found so much success off of it. Guoguo was able to get a double kill to end the play. And so as a whole, Snake succeeded in a team fight where they would usually fail.
And this is where we see Snake playing their characteristic split and skirmish style. It's not so much about the collective 5v5. It's taking multiple 2v2s, 3v3s, 1v1s on multiple fronts to make it as chaotic as possible. That's why they like to find these flanking opportunities so that they can find favorable skirmishes and engages. But when they split around the red buff, they went 2 people into the 3 members of EDG before the remaining 3 could flank. And it was an easy win for EDG, for iBoy to equalize those kills.
It's a hard way to play the game.
It really is.
I'm surprised that Snake has decided for the few years that they've been here to just hammer it out, that they were going to be playing some hectic fights with multiple dive threats and multiple flank opportunities, because it means that everyone has to take ownership on their own positioning. Be like, am I in a great position myself? Am I in a weak spot in this team fight? Do I have to wait, play it back for the rest of the guys to go at it first? And a lot of the times you'll see some weird angles. So yeah, you're right, double kill coming in from Kai'Sa just because they were not ready to be able to fight the Kai'Sa when they went for it. So you get some major wins based off that Gnar ultimate. And even in game 1, where Lee Sin was able to get an excellent game and dive that they had in through mid lane. So you get some beautiful plays, but they're not consistent. So that was the whole split, whole year for Snake, and it ends with that.
It's always the narrative for Snake. They can take these massive games against huge teams like EDG, run them out with advantages until 25 minutes, but it's not consistent in how they close these games out. So that's why they do have such long game end times. We've got a replay of iBoy, though, he's consistently putting on some very aggressive performances. This is the fight that turned the whole game around. Watch Scout and watch iBoy.
Yeah, because they just bided their time. Wait a little bit. They went straight through, looking at how Light's HP, half HP, easy one to go for. Same with Guoguo. So the major carries for Snake were absolutely vulnerable. And so when you're so hyped up, you know you're just one play away from finding your team towards playoffs. Some points of communications just go flat.
Yeah.
And that's what I felt like the carries didn't probably make a mention of it. Or maybe the dive threat of Flandre and SOFM didn't make it known. They're going that heavily in. So unfortunate, it didn't work out well for them in that team fight. But it's still a great way to send Snake off, saying that even though unlucky you didn't make the playoffs, that there are still some great factors of your play.
Yeah, absolutely some things they can look forwards to in 2019. Our MVP for that Game 3 victory goes to iBoy for his Kai'Sa performance. Surprise, surprise, diving into the backline. When it succeeds, it looks great.
Yeah, it looks great. I say he's piggybacking a lot off of what was going through with Scout. I think Scout had a fantastic game. But iBoy, playing, waiting a little bit, finds those great opportunities and is able to help out Scout. So it was a great double team effort throughout the game.
We saw that last team fight in which the two of them dove into the backline at the exact same time to separate Light, to get that burst damage onto Guoguo's LeBlanc as well. So a big performance from iBoy. He's been putting out some massive numbers over the course of this entire weekend. But now that EDG have locked in second place to playoffs with this final victory, we've got to start looking at how the bracket is going to be shaping up. Because with this win, as we said, FPX are locked into playoffs. They are finally able to try and run the gauntlet that was denied to them in spring.
I'm sorry, guys, no foldy sheets here, but at least that's been resolved. We know what happens in the Western Conference. So 4th place spot for FPX, great job. For East Conference, though, that still needs to be decided in the last set of the day with JDG going up against RNG.
Alrighty, well now we're gonna go ahead and take a longer break while we get ready for our next set. That's gonna be Rogue Warriors versus WE coming up at 5 o'clock China Standard Time. If you don't know what time that is, basically however long it is until the hour ticks over, because we've been going on for quite a while. But we're gonna go and take a longer break while we get ready for that one. To keep you in tune though, we've got another face-to-face in which Clement gets a chance to talk to, I believe it is Zoom in this next one. So we're looking forward to that. Let's go ahead and take a quick break and get that face-to-face rolling.
Welcome everyone to Face to Face Episode 5, where we sit down with BLG's top laner, Amazing J.
大家好，我是人见人爱、花见花开的 BLG 上单 Amazing J， 外号古风美男。
In a lot of interviews, you're so candid about your own mistakes and your teammates' mistakes, which is really rare in the LPL. Can you tell us a little about how you guys communicate with each other?
就每一输一把比赛，我们会回去检讨的嘛。检讨的时候，我们每个人都会先说出自己的问题，然后多说出来，然后教练再会去总结。
AJ, your most noteworthy stat is that you take the most damage to kill per death in the entirety of the LPL. What do you think about that?
因为可能我玩的坦克英雄比较多嘛。
You're really well known for your team fight, so I want to ask you, what is the perfect team fight teleport?
像 S6 打 WE 那种嘛，
人都拉得非常的远。
传送拉后了，这边安
没要来了，
赌一波了，要打
赌一波从后面过来的，但这一个推把两个人推走，弱的坦不住吗？这边的金角闪现出来，
这边有小了，
他们的注意力都在我们的前方，也有那种很关键的控制技能，那种 TP 位置是特别好。
So the key is to come in from the back.
因为从后面来的时候，对面基本都很难反应过来。
I think the story of AJ to me is the story about the value of confidence. How did you build that confidence up, and how does it help your play?
S6 三级跳的自信是大部分都来源我们两个教练嘛，因为那两个孙大勇跟峰哥他们 S6 的时候都会一直给我们洗脑，我们很厉害，我们很强。现在的自信应该是来源自己的单排吧。
What's the origin of your ID?
因为打比赛要英文 ID 嘛，就有个朋友就帮我改了这个 ID， 我觉得挺好看的，挺好听的，就取了这个 ID。
So you're known as the ancient beauty in the LPL. How did this name come about, and what do you feel about the title now?
就我感觉这个名字一开始觉得它是一个对我来说是一个嘲讽嘛，就现在来看这个外号都挺好的。
Why do you think it's a good name?
就古风嘛，我也挺喜欢的。
Is there a meme about yourself that you enjoy?
裸跑还有女装吧，这种最近的梗就比较喜欢嘛。
What do you think are the main areas of improvement for the LPL?
关键可能是 S5、S6、S7 给 LPL 留下了很多遗憾吧，改变了整个 LPL 的风格吧，都变得很敢去打，很敢去拼，所以拼赢了很多比赛。
So it's basically a willingness to all in whenever we see the opportunity.
敢打嘛，以前都是学习别人打法的嘛，现在都是拿自己的一套出来跟别人干。
We have a question from Lingyue 2018 on Weibo, and he wants to ask your tier list for the LPL top laners.
我觉得比较厉害的是德赛和德阳嘛，因为德赛他的个人实力还有操作还有英雄池都比较深，然后德阳来说他是国际赛里面的表现是最好的最强的，所以我觉得这两个是最强的三单。
Come on, you have to be one of the top 5. What if we were doing this tier list by looks?
颜值啊，那第一位应该是Amazing J， 第二位应该是石伟豪，第三位应该是古风美男。
I'm pretty sure those 3 are the same person. Next up, we have a question from Twitter from Fiona. AJ, what do you miss most about Hong Kong?
最怀念家乡的美食吧，因为家乡的味道跟上海的味道确实不会太一样。
Can you tell us exactly what dish you miss?
我最懷念嘅係叉燒包同埋燒賣、魚蛋、蘿蔔、牛雜。
We have a question here from Ming. How would you respond?
我想问一句的话，就 因为德杯的时候，他说他拿了冠军就想裸奔嘛，但是当时我们很遗憾的把他冠军给拿了吧，然后他没能看到他裸奔，然后因为没拿到冠军嘛德杯，所以我希望你有什么能补偿这一次裸奔吗？
要是小明真的想看我裸奔的话，可以直接来我们 BLG 基地啊。
Do you have any questions for our next guest?
我想问一下中文选手，就我们2019年春季赛开始，看看我们谁比较瘦吧。
And that will be all from us. Thank you so much, Amazing J, for sitting down.
Thank you and goodbye。
其实我觉得你船长有很多时候很秀啊。
基本的嘛。
龙女啊，你能讲述一下这个过程吗？把它讲得生动一点。
大概就是那个版本龙女特别厉害了嘛，就直接飞过去 AAA 的5杀了。
那你就说你最想念早茶吧。
我最想念他喝早茶。